afternoon, and welcome to the virtual Parent and Family Relations session. We're conducting this session as a webinar. Participants will be muted, but you will be able to hear the presenters and ask questions using the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. We'll begin shortly. Again, welcome to the virtual Parent and Family session. We're conducting this session as a webinar. Participants will be muted, but you will be able to hear the presenters and ask questions using the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. We'll begin shortly. Again, welcome to the virtual Parent and Family session. My name is Elizabeth Massengale, Director of Parent and Family Relations and Assistant Dean of Students, and I will serve as the moderator for today's session. In a minute, you will see 3 poll questions on your screen. Please take a minute to answer the questions. After you indicate your responses, please select Submit. We will then review the results together. This will help with our presentations today. Again, you should see the poll questions on your screen. There are 3 of them. Please take a minute and submit your answers to each, and then select the Submit button at the bottom. Thank you for taking a minute to answer those poll questions. The first one is related to what you're hoping to learn from this presentation. As suspected, most of you have questions and concerns about fall 2020 enrollment for your student, but you also want to know how to support your student. We will answer those questions to the best of our ability and get you connected with the right resources for information and support. And what are you most looking forward to? That's one is watching your student mature and to grow into young adults. That's the best thing about college experience, is seeing your student achieve those goals. And then what are you most apprehensive about? A lot of times it's about them becoming engaged in campus, managing their time so they can be academically successful, as well as, and most importantly, making that new transition, particularly considering our current circumstances. I can guarantee you that today will provide you with information related to those questions and concerns and excitement about your student becoming a Red Raider, as well as addressing how we can help support your student throughout their time. We are so excited to have all of you joining us today. There are over 900 registered participants, so welcome to the Red Raider family. Again, as a reminder, we're conducting this as a webinar. You should be able to hear us, but we cannot hear you. So if you have a dog barking in the background or something else happening, rest assured we can't hear it. You will have the ability to ask questions using the Q&A feature. You should see that feature at the bottom of your screen. We will respond to those questions throughout the session, and for those we are unable to respond to during the session, we will continue to reply or make sure to share your question with the correct area for a response. At the conclusion of today's presentation, you will be provided with our contact information and information for frequently asked questions. Additionally, this session will be recorded and shared so you can review it again later. You will receive a post-event email with all of this information as well. And as a reminder, just like many of you, we're at home, we're at dining room tables, corners of rooms with kids and pets and partners. Our internet is spotty, and none of us are IT experts. You'll hear from several different representatives today for several different areas. They're here to help you make that transition to being a family member of a new Red Raider. We'll provide you with general advice about how you can best support your student and how you as a family member can best be involved in their transition. We also understand that you and your student have many questions related to fall 2020 due to the current restrictions and concerns related to COVID-19. We are presenting information today as we prepare for students to be back on campus this fall. We all know that things may look different on campus than in the past. We also know things are constantly changing and know that we are committed to updating students and their families about those changes. The university will continue to adhere to federal, state, and local guidelines as those are developed. You may have questions related to how is the university going to ensure students are practicing social distancing? How are we practicing social distancing in the residence halls? What happens if your student gets sick? Will classes be online or will they face-to-face? What about costs or discounts related to the delivery of those classes? What do you need to do if your student needs to defer their admission to a later semester? What about information about due dates? A good point of contact for due dates would be our academic calendar and student business services. Both of those areas have good information. And generally, when will the university make those decisions and when will we communicate with you, the newest Red Raiders? The answer to all of those questions is we are working to address all of those concerns now so that we are prepared for your students to be on campus this fall. We have the same concerns too, and we definitely want you to be comfortable sending your student to Texas Tech University. The university is constantly monitoring and evaluating the current environment, and while we do not yet have an official date for decisions to be announced, we are fully committed to ensuring that we will provide you and your student timely and accurate information to answer your questions. You can help. Once we have a clearer understanding of our fall plans, we will share those with you and your student. You and your student should talk about those plans and how you can support those efforts. You may ask, how am I going to get that information? The university will send official communication to your student's Texas Tech email address. So make sure and encourage your student to get into that habit of checking that email address. Family members should join the Parent and Family Relations newsletter. Official communication will be shared in a variety of mediums, but it will always be sent to your student's Texas Tech email address, and Parent and Family Relations will share that information with family members via that newsletter. At the end of the presentation, you will be provided with a slide with contact information for all representatives and departments for all of your questions. Again, you should also be aware of the dates that are available in the academic calendar as well as student business services due dates. We'll provide you a link to both of those at the conclusion of our presentation. And also know that all of our departments and offices are available to help you via phone, email, and chat Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions or need assistance. Again, we are excited to have you with us this afternoon. We have a number of panelists that are going to share some expertise with you as you prepare to join the Red Raider family this fall. Myself, Elizabeth Massingale, Dr. Carol Sumner, Vice President for the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Todd Chambers, Associate Dean for College of Media and Communications, Amanda Reeves with University Student Housing, and Dr. Kathy Duran, Vice Provost for Student Affairs. I'd like to begin our presentation by sharing some insight on how you as a parent and family member of a future Red Raider should be involved and connected. Your involvement and connections will look different than they do today, and we're here to help you. The Department of Parent and Family Relations is your office on campus. We focus on providing timely and accurate information to help families stay connected to their students and the university. We do this by providing sessions during orientation, through our parent and family guide, offering our newsletter, and providing opportunities such as Sibling Saturday and Family Days for you to come visit your student on campus. Again, we encourage you to connect with our office by signing up for our newsletter and following us on social media. And at any time, you're welcome to call or email us and let us help you answer your university question or provide you information on how your student can reach out to an area for support. We know the university is a big place. Please start with us. We're here to help you. Throughout this journey, you'll find the university has a number of programs and services to support your students. We want them to make Lubbock their new home. Lubbock is a great community that's surrounded by many university supporters. It will be important for your students' transition to get them connected on campus with new friends and activities that are of interest to them, as well as various support services. Students will be encouraged to join at least one student organization on campus. They can also get involved with the Student Government Association, work on campus, or even participate in academic research. We'd encourage you to challenge your student to become involved. This will help with their transition as a first-year student in a new environment, in new town, and new people. We want them connected. We also recognize that students may need guidance along the way. Encourage your student to reach out for help throughout their college journey. We will get them connected to resources to support them personally, emotionally, physically, and academically. Our Student Wellness Center with our Student Health Services, Student Counseling Center, Pharmacy, and more is here to support your students' emotional and physical health. We also offer a wide variety of tutoring options for your student, and they'll want to connect with them early and often. Our University Career Center can assist your student with job search, but also help them narrow down a career path. And we also know that students test boundaries. Sometimes those activities may be less than ideal, and we are committed to educating your student on the risk reduction, how to help others through bystander intervention, and will hold them accountable through the code of conduct. Each of these resources are meant to be educational, but also help hold the student accountable. You should talk with your student about your expectations too, and remind them of your values and beliefs. One of the areas we know family members are always curious about is how do I access my students' academic, financial, and conduct information? Here's what you need to know. Students' academic, financial, and conduct records are protected by FERPA. FERPA is the Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act that protects a student's records and prevents institutions of higher education from sharing information. I know that sometimes that's hard for family members to understand that we can't release that, but there's good news. We are able to release that information to family members if the student has completed the FERPA waiver, indicating they're willing to release that information to those listed. During the summer, you should talk with your student about expectations related to the release of their information. If you and your student agree that it's in everyone's best interest to complete the waiver, You can do that via either a mail-in form or your student can complete it in what we refer to as their Rater Link account. We are going to provide you links to both options, and this information is provided during Red Rater orientation. You do not need to do anything right now. There are many questions that you have now and that you will have prior to and during your student's time as a college student. Know that we're here to help you navigate those questions and concerns and provide you and your student support. As your students begin the fall semester, parents and family members should encourage your students to check their Texas Tech email regularly for all that important communication. Follow Texas Tech on various social media sites. There's all sorts of fun and engaging opportunities there. They can be involved in athletic events, 5K runs, webinars, virtual tours, student activities, postings with hashtags, limitless opportunities. And then once they're on campus, encourage them to get involved. We'll provide many events for them to meet other students, be engaged, encourage them to reach out to those resources early and often. Texas Tech values family involvement. We want you involved. Know that it will look different, but know that your students still need you. It will just be in a different way. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Carol Sumner, the Vice President for the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer, to share with you what you can expect and how to best support your student. Carol?
Thanks, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, all. This is certainly a moment where you are invited into our homes, our personal homes, and into your new family as a Red Raider parent. We recognize that there are a lot of things that may be circulating in your own home, and I'm just going to tell you, while your dogs might be muted, mine aren't. And I've already warned my children not to call, including my husband. He's not a child, but we know that this is a very special time for you and your family as you're preparing for your young person to come to Texas Tech and to be a part of this experience from now through move-in when your student will arrive on campus. This is a pretty special time. So we recognize that what we want to offer today is not just a list of resources and information. Certainly we want to answer your questions, but we also want you to know what we're aware of as you all are trying to make this transition with your student. First, we know that the university experience is about earning a degree and a credential. You want them off, as most of us will say, the family payroll. But there's a lot of maturing that may happen for a traditional age student. They're going from your house to our home here in Lubbock on Texas Tech campus. And so part of what they may wondering is, who really am I as an individual? I know what my parents' rules were, and they're expecting that I'm going to continue to hold on to those, but maybe I'm trying to explore something else about the world, and what does that look like? And I've never met anybody else who lived in, name a place or a city, and I'm not quite sure I'm going to fit in. So we want you to know every student is unique and every person is an individual. And as you're working with your student to help them kind of move through this new path, like, I don't know, I haven't been on campus, people gonna like me, what's gonna happen? That's what we're here for. So as much as we recognize, particularly for traditional age students, that college is a new adventure, there are a lot of fears and concerns. And given all the things that we're working through, we wanna make sure that you know we're taking those things into consideration. So as you're working with your student and talking to them about opportunities on campus, the division is here to help students celebrate all of who they are, where they come from, new traditions and opportunities. There are so many things that they're going to experience on campus, but it's not all about fun and games. And sometimes students are like, well, I know I'm here to get a degree. Yeah, that we'd hope they're going to class, but they might need some tutoring or mentoring. I don't know how to answer these questions. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. And as much as I want to talk to my parents, here's the thing. You all have given them a work ethic that have said hard work pays off. And I really want to do great things, but you've also said do more, reach higher. That's why our programs are here. So as we're working with them and tutoring and mentoring and we're asking the questions, we're also helping them figure out, how do they answer that question by themselves? Parents aren't always available. You know, that call, you didn't answer, you're like, I'm busy. We want you to know that we're here for them. And so we recognize that mentoring and tutoring are available. They may not know that there's something beyond an undergraduate degree, a grad degree. We have those programs to help them explore that as well. They might be asking, well, you were a military person and I'm using benefits for my military and veterans. How do I go about doing that? That's what the MVP program is there to do. And it's also to help our veterans navigate the change in life, coming from a very structured background. My husband was in the Army, so I know all about those benefits, and that's under the division as well. But if you have questions about how your student will be able to be successful, here's what we want to know from you, how we can help. That's why this is helping. That's why this is happening. And if there's nothing else that we can do in the scope of all of this, we will have a record of the questions that you're asking. We will be sure to reach out and answer those questions. Please keep in touch with us as you move forward. But the thing we want you to know is that if these are traditional age students, if your student is coming from high school into the university, this is the most valuable window of time to talk to them about decision making. Elizabeth talked about the FERPA form. And here's what I'm going to tell you, the real. When my 3 kids were in my house and we had a conversation about them going to school, I had a different conversation with my oldest son than I did with my youngest son. My daughter in between was the one that always wrote the list that told me what to do. She needed this thing happening. That wasn't my oldest son. Someone has asked about conduct. Dr. Duran will talk about it. But when you're having that conversation and you're saying the university is going to talk to you about being an adult, that's real. So how do they start making real decisions? That's what we're here for. So let us know what your questions are. We're grateful that you've joined us today. My colleague, Dr. Todd Chambers, is getting ready to start speaking to you about the academic experiences. He's the Associate Dean in the College of Media and Communications. So it's been a joy. We're here for the hour. Take advantage of what we can offer and know that we are truly family. We're glad to have you here today.
Dr. Sumner, thank you so much. She's a rock star, just like everybody at Texas Tech is. Texas Tech is a very, very special place. My name is Todd Chambers, and I serve as Associate Dean in the College of Media and Communication. I've spent most of my adult life at Texas Tech. I was an undergrad student here. I earned a master's degree from here. And then after I did my doctorate somewhere else, I came back to Lubbock, and have been here and have been teaching now for 21 years. And when you meet me in person, just want you to know that I have a full head of hair. So sometimes this Zoom thing messes you up. So anyway. But I'm here to tell you that from the moment that we start our Red Raider orientation experience this summer, and yes, we know that it's going to be virtual this year, but guess what? You're still going to get that Red Raider orientation experience, and you're going to be able to interact live with your advisor. You'll be able to interact live with people like me, faculty members, and other members of our amazing staff who are here to really get you transitioned into this Texas Tech community that we call Red Raider land. I wanted to take a few moments to discuss kind of what the academic experience looks like here at Texas Tech. Every college, we have 10 of them here at Texas Tech. We have faculty and staff who are devoted 100% to the success of your student. And that's our main goal. Our main goal is to watch your student walk across that stage when they've earned their bachelor degree. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. Your student, I talked a little bit about RO. Dr. Duran will talk a little bit more about that. But one of the things that you'll likely have, I've seen several questions today, is about, what does the course load look like? And will you actually meet an advisor? Yes, you will meet an advisor. And what that advisor will do, they will actually be able to take time with your student They'll evaluate their transcripts, and then they will come up with their sort of gateway semester into the Texas Tech environment. And usually that's about 5 classes. We try to put them in 15 to 16 hours their first semester. We don't want to overload them because we want them to experience the campus and experience everything that Texas Tech has to offer. And every single one of our 10 colleges, we're going to have a welcome week activity where your student gets to go out and they get to meet and interact with people. And honestly, what I tell our students all the time, I want you in your first semester, your first year, to go out and say, I started out as this major, but maybe I want to change to this major. They may be inspired by a class at a whole different college than they originally came here for. And, these college welcome week activities, this is where they get a chance to sort of grab information and talk to different people. My hope is they join a student organization in their first semester, whether that be from a social Greek organization or a service organization or an student organization within their college. Our hope is they get plugged into the campus so that they can experience that and really find their passion in their first couple of semesters here at Texas Tech. Dr. Sumner also mentions some of our academic support services. Each college, we have advisors, and your student will meet with that advisor for sure in their first year. Depending on the college and depending on the major, they may sort of get unhooked, but they can always go back to that advisor and ask questions. But we have different types of support services because, at Texas Tech, we're not just about that first job out. We want to make sure that students understand that their college education is training them for that third and fourth career when they're out. We have an amazing career services center. In fact, yesterday we hosted a virtual career fair for our students. And I'm teaching a freshman course this year, and I required all my first year students to go to that because how important it is for them to start this process of learning about networking. And then finally, what I want to just touch on real quick, we are Red Raiders, and Elizabeth mentioned this earlier, and you're going to find a friendly face all across this campus. You're going to find someone who's willing to help. Just like today, that's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. And even if it's outside of this call, you can send any of us an email. And if we don't have the answer to that question, we're going to put you in contact with someone who does. One of the questions, for example, I saw, can you reach out to your academic advisor and or talk to a student to get their experience firsthand before Red Raid orientation? Yes, we would love to put you in contact. Most colleges have an ambassador program, and my encouragement is always going to be reach out to your college recruiter. And again, you can send me an email and I'll find out who that person is if I don't know who it is. But we'll get you in contact, and we can hopefully help you with the answers to your questions. But I want to thank you today, and I think next up on our panel is our Amanda Reeves, who is a manager in our university student housing, which is amazing here at Texas Tech. Seems like every year I see that they've won all types of big time awards. And so I'm going to pass it off to Amanda now. Thank you all very much. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Chambers. Again, like you said, my name's Amanda. I am in the student housing, and we cannot express how excited we are to have all students on campus with us this fall. At this time, we are going full steam, and everything's planned and getting ready for move-in weekend coming up the weekend of August 15th and 16th. And so we encourage everyone to just keep sending in their contracts, selecting their rooms. That move-in weekend is one big question that we've been seeing a lot on here. We will be sending out more emails towards the end of May to all students that have signed up for housing with us, encouraging them, letting them know about time slots they can sign up, the different ways that they can get ready for move-in, what they need to bring, what they don't need to bring. Until then, though, we encourage you to go to our housing website where we have a page for every single hall. I know that's a big question as well as, hey, can I see my room? Unfortunately, no, not right now, but we still have ways that you can, and that we have a virtual tour on every single web page that we've created for each hall that we have. So you can go in there. Also, we have the dimensions of the room. I know that decorating the dorms is a fun thing. It was a fun thing for me when I went to school. So I know that's a big thing that everybody wants to do. And we have the dimensions of not just your basics from your bedding and everything, but also from all the amenities in there, the size of the desk and stuff. So you can start planning those items ahead of time. And also there's a floor plan. So you kind of see the layout of your floor if you're not familiar with that yet. We also have the fall move-in page. So there's a whole site, page site on that, on our main page that will let you talk about, learn everything, what you need to bring, what you shouldn't bring. So you're fully prepared the whole time when you're moving in. And just like Dr. Chambers was saying, we are welcoming, we are still open and taking phone calls, emails, and live chats, talking to students and parents each and every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We are taking phone calls, we are answering emails, and we also have some of our student ambassadors that are still working from home for us right now, and they're answering calls and chats. So if you have any questions, all of these students have lived in our residence halls at least once while they were a student, while they were a freshman, or some sophomores, and some still are with us on campus. And so if you do have questions on what's it like to live in the halls, well, we have students that will be more than happy to answer any of those questions. So again, we look forward to having you all on the campus with us this fall, and I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Kathy Duran now.
Thank you, Amanda. As everyone said, this is a great opportunity to be with you, even though it's virtual, and we're just very pleased to be here to do this information for you and to give you some ideas about what's happening here. So I'm going to mainly talk to you about orientation at Texas Tech. We have made the decision to offer a fully online virtual orientation experience for this summer. We know this is very different from what we all expected, but we're very confident that we're able to deliver a high quality experience with comprehensive information, excellent advising, and making sure that your student is ready to begin their journey as a Red Raider this fall. In addition, there'll be many other opportunities for your student to get involved during Raider Welcome that Dr. Chambers talked about, that this happens before classes begin, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. We do realize that these are uncertain times, but that does not lessen the importance of this exciting milestone that you and your students are getting ready to go through. Red Raider orientation is here for you and your student. So now I'd like to let you know some of the details about the process of Red Raider orientation and what to expect, because I know there's always a lot of questions about this. So first of all, orientation this summer will consist of two primary components. First, students will be required to complete online modules that have messages and information that will be of value for getting ready for the college advising sessions and also for the beginning of school, and to talk about all the different things that Texas Tech offers. The second component is the scheduled advising and registration sessions, and I'll talk more about that in a minute also. So the Red Raider orientation modules will become available on May 26th, and they will be accessible from our website, www.redraiderorientation.ttu.edu. We're also going to email your student a link to the modules. These can be accessed anytime beginning on May 26th, but they do need to be completed before your student's RO session date. So please note that the website address that I just mentioned and all the other ones that I'm going to talk about later will be available to you after the presentation for your reference. We do want to ask for your assistance as parents and family members in making sure that your student is checking their TTU email, ttu.edu, because the module links and the other reminders will be sent to them that way. So let me move to the second component of orientation, which is the advising and course registration. And this part of orientation will take place during the dates for which your student is already registered for orientation. However, students can still change their orientation date, or if they haven't registered yet, they can at our orientation website. Another important note is that we do limit the number of students per session because we match the students in a particular major with their specific advisors, so the advising experience can be as engaging and positive as possible. The virtual Red Raider orientation schedule is in progress right now, and we hope to have it posted very soon. We're also working with each academic college to ensure that your student receives the most effective advising experience possible, and they will be communicating with your student also about college and major specific information. We're also working with all the other campus departments to provide programming that meets student needs in this virtual environment. There's a lot of planning happening right now so that all of our campus resources will be highlighted and available to your student. Another thing that we wanted you to know is that due to these difficult times, we have made an adjustment to the fee for the virtual Red Raider orientation. It is now $60 for all students, and it includes the access to the online orientation models, access to all the information and resources that will help your student be successful, and the other RO materials. Students will receive their TTU t-shirts and other orientation materials either through regular mail or at Raider Welcome before classes start, in addition to all the virtual information. The fee itself, the Red Raider orientation fee, is applied to the student's TTU billing account once they attend RO. It is not necessary, and in fact not possible, to pay it up front. Also this year, for this summer, we are not charging guest fees, and if you have paid a guest fee already, it will be automatically refunded to you. So let me move to another useful tool that many others have referred to, and this is called the Admitted Student Task List. This is a checklist that takes your students step by step through the processes that are needed to enroll at Texas Tech University. So each task list is an individualized custom list, and your student can check off each item when they've completed or finished reviewing them. So students should be checking the Admitted Student Task List as well as their ttu.edu email to see all the things that they need to do prior to their session. And the Admitted Student Task List can be accessed through the Red Raider Orientation registration site or at www.admitted.ttu.edu. So let me just circle back for a minute to my earlier comments about how these times are not what we expected or hoped for. We recognize that all of us are having to do some things differently this summer, but we want you to know that our focus remains in getting your student connected with the university and other students, getting them to be knowledgeable about campus programs and resources, and of course, getting them registered for classes this fall. There will be information available about opportunities for involvement, student organizations, and ways for your students to be engaged and to have a great Red Raider experience. This information might be delivered in new and innovative ways this summer, but we know that we and you and your students can do this. One of the ways that we'll further be able to connect with your students is what others have referred to as the Red Raider Welcome, which is a series of events and programs. This is going to be held August 16th through 29th and will be a great way to learn about all the ways to get involved on campus and to continue and enhance that great feeling of being a Red Raider. Every year, Texas Tech hosts over 150 events designed to introduce and welcome students to the Texas Tech community. Departments from all over campus, including the academic colleges and student organizations, participate in this annual event. So our complete schedule will be available in early August at www.raiderwelcome.ttu.edu. Raider Welcome is meant to be a time where all students feel included and involved in the Red Raider family. We want you to know that we're 100% committed to you and your student. Even though we're doing this virtually, it does not lessen our commitment and our intent and desire to give the very best experience that we can to your student and for you. We're very much looking forward to getting to know your student in the coming months. And I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for your attention today and your support for Texas Tech. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Duran, and thank you to all of our panelists. What a wealth of information and knowledge that they were able to provide. I know many of you have been asking questions using the Q&A feature, so thank you for doing that and continue to ask those questions. We are continuing to answer those as they come in. I think that we've noticed that there's several questions that have been asked multiple times, and so wanted to provide answers to those questions to the entire group. So I know one of the questions that comes up is maybe you haven't had a recent visit to Texas Tech campus or just wanted to come through one more time. And so wanted to ask admissions, what are some options for touring campus virtually or just driving through campus?
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. My name is Rex Oliver. I work with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at Texas Tech. We are pleased to definitely offer you a virtual campus tour experience on our virtual tour website, and that will be coming along at the end of the presentation. We'll be sharing that website with you. It will take you through the entire campus and all of our major academic buildings, our athletic facilities, and there's a narrator there to walk you through the campus tour. We do get the question often if you're able to still drive through our campus in Lubbock. The short answer to that is yes, you are still able to drive through our campus. However, all of our buildings are currently closed, so you won't be able to go inside any of our buildings. So we just ask you to be aware of that. And a great option is to do our virtual tour online. I also wanted to let you know that we're hosting several virtual presentations throughout the week on a repeating basis. We have presentations specifically for admitted students to discuss next steps. We also have presentations related to financial aid and to the admissions process. But once again, that link will be shared at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Rex. One of the things I will point out on your screen, you should see a slide that has COVID-19 FAQ sites. Those are links provided to share with you so that you know the most up-to-date information on what's happening on campus and what decisions are being made. I know many of you have questions about the delivery of fall classes, cost associated with different delivery options, and what that means for your student and for your family. There's not an established current date to make those decisions, but know that it's certainly on the forefront of our minds. And those are some good references to get that updated information as well. I know that many of you have also asked about the housing accommodations and maybe how does your student connect with their roommate? How do they find out who they are? What does that process look like? So Amanda, could you share with the group how students get connected with their roommate?
Yes, I'd love to. All students will be getting they can get their roommate's name and TTU email address by going back onto the sign up page, and there's their main community page that gives them the checklist showing that they've completed all steps. And at the top of that, it's going to say your name, your hall, your meal plan, and then it will have the name of your roommate. If you have any trouble finding that, please reach out to us in housing and we'll be more than happy to assist you with that. All that we can give you is their name and their TTU email. So we encourage students to reach out through email, or if they're not hearing back from them, because not all students always are familiar with checking their TTU email at this time, but you can always reach out through social media as well.
Thank you, Amanda. I know that we've also had several questions regarding safety and what does safety look like on campus. I think we are fortunate to be in Lubbock, Texas and at the Texas Tech campus, but there are a number of safety features on campus available for you and your students to be aware of. You know, students who are maybe walking around campus from the library or a rec center or to and from different residence halls, and even when you're on campus, we'll see our blue light phones, We have about 120 of those. So those are phones that are just around campus that students are able to press a button that directly connects with our Texas Tech University Police Department. We have a fully functioning police department that has jurisdiction across campus as well as in our community, that are on duty 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So those blue light phones connect directly with our police department and can assist students that way. We also have night shuttle rides for students on and off campus to help support them. If they're, again, out late and need a ride back to their vehicle or their residence hall or the library, on-campus transportation as well as some off-campus transportation available. And then finally, we have our tech alert system. That's an electronic mechanism that students can register for, and they can list whatever phone numbers and emails where they would like to receive an email, a phone call, or a text message. That information can even include you if you want to get that information. I think a lot of times that system is used for obviously emergency alerts that go out to the campus community, but we have we've used it in a variety of ways, but a lot of times it's related to weather. So you may be not as excited to know that you don't have to go to class at 8 o'clock in the morning if we text you at midnight. So just know that you will get those notifications, even if it's just a weather-related situation. But that's a good way to stay connected. And you'll want to make sure your student is registered with Tech Alert. So there's a variety of mechanisms, our police department, our on-campus transportation, as well as that electronic mechanism for your students to get connected with. Again, during Red Raider orientation, there will be specific information on how to get everyone connected. But I wanted to ask Dr. Chambers to talk about campus safety a little bit from the perspective of a parent with a current college student at Texas Tech.
Thank you. Yes, I have a second year student, and she feels very safe at Texas Tech. She, her first year, she lived on campus, and her second year, she has lived off campus in an apartment. And the great thing, for those of you who might be thinking past that first year, many of the apartments are on the campus bus route. And so she's able to ride the bus early in the morning, and when she is finished with class in the late afternoon, she's able to ride the bus back to her apartment complex. So yeah, we have felt very safe. She has felt very safe, and we're very comfortable with having a daughter at Texas Tech University.
Thank you, Todd. We know that your students will be exposed to a variety of different viewpoints and perspectives, a number of different engagement opportunities and speakers. I'd like to ask Dr. Sumner to talk about, what might your student experience that might be out of their, current experiences in your own communities?
Well, and it's a great question to get to answer, because the university is about exploring different ways of thinking. It's about understanding the way that the world operates, and everybody doesn't think like we do. But our way doesn't mean it's the only way. And so the goal of the institutional experience is to say to students, you're going to meet people who have very different lived experiences, come from very different backgrounds, and have different ideologies and thoughts about the way that the world should operate. But that doesn't mean that my way is the only way or that theirs is the only way. And so what we really try to encourage students to think is think about how you're going about opening yourselves up to hearing different perspectives, acknowledging that those exist, but not making a decision that my way is the only way or that mine is the best. You are certainly in this place to explore who you are as a person. The thing we ask is that students find a way to disagree without being disagreeable, right? How do you go about respecting that another person can think very differently about something, and yet they're not wrong. So I often ask the question, how do you eat your spaghetti? And if there are how many people? 800 people on this web Zoom meeting, there might be 800 different ways of eating spaghetti. Just because I vote a certain way, or I'm married to a certain kind of person, or that I identify as a certain person, stereotypes and assumptions are not things that we can use as a fundamental way to see anybody as a certain kind of way of being. And so what we'd ask is that students come in recognizing this is a great way to learn about themselves and the world. Now, let me also be very practical. I have a student, my youngest son is in his PhD, getting his degree in theoretical physics. He's one of those kids, smart as a whip. But we also talked about how to catch a bus because he couldn't figure that out and couldn't figure out how to put in an ATM, get a check. So there are a number of things that students are experiencing in the university. That's what we're here for, to simply provide them with a space to explore those, so that as they go out into the world, they are better citizens because they have been able to see other perspectives. So that's what I would answer.
Thank you, Dr. Sumner. I know as you prepare for attending a Red Raider orientation, you may have questions about TSI testing. What is TSI and how that can be completed? Dr. Duran, can you speak to TSI?
Yes, the Texas Success Initiative is a state requirement that all students have to meet. And so it can have implications for students as they're registering for courses, what kinds of courses they can register, and holds that they might have on their schedule. However, the Texas Education Coordinating Board and the state have made some very special accommodations due to the COVID-19. And so even though everyone still has to take the TSI exam, unless they are exempt, there are certain exemptions with ACT and SAT scores, etc. But if they have to take the TSI exam, they're able to take it from home now through a special service that the entire state has invested in. And so I know that our testing center at Texas Tech has all the instructions about this and how to do it, how to access it, but it will make it much easier where people don't have to actually travel to a testing site. And so this is something that we were very glad to hear, and it's going to make it much easier for our students to be able to fulfill this requirement.
Thank you. And Dr. Duran, another question related to Red Raider Camp.
Yes.
Could you just speak to what Red Raider Camp is, how it is different than Red Raider orientation, and what the plans are for those sessions later this summer?
Sure. So as of now, Red Raider Camp is continuing as scheduled. It is held in Brownwood, Texas at the 4-H Conference Center. We will be giving any updates about Red Raider Camp via email or our website, which is of course www.redraidercamp.ttu.edu, and also social media. Orientation is a mandatory event where students get registered for the fall semester and learn about the campus and all the opportunities and resources that are available to them. Red Raider Camp is an optional program for an extended experience for students to get connected. A lot of times they meet their first Texas Tech friends there. They learn and experience history and traditions, and it's a fun way to get a more in-depth introduction to Texas Tech traditions, and also provide some early leadership opportunities to do this. So it's really an additional experience. Our registrations are still open. We do have people registered for it. We are very much hoping and expecting that we can do Red Raider Camp this year. So for right now, all systems are go. And This is an additional fee and it's paid in advance. If we had to cancel it, of course we would refund it, but we are certainly not at that point yet, and we are just going ahead as usual.
Thank you. Amanda, can you talk about the services that, this is more related to hospitality services, but in working with residents who have dietary needs, what are some options for them to eat on campus?
There are a variety of options on campus to eat. It's not just in your hall. That's the wonderful thing about our hospitality program and our dining plan is you can eat anywhere with your dining bucks. But for those who do have certain dietary needs, we do take all those into accommodation, and we have an on-staff dietitian, Mindy Dillard, who is amazing, and she spends time with each student. So right now, we really do encourage you to reach out to her, start talking with her. She has the whole campus mapped out to let you know, hey, these are the best places to eat if you have these needs, go to this area. But I love eating all over campus. It's wonderful. I am missing some of our campus food right now, even having to cook for myself. So can't wait to get back on campus and enjoy that. But there are many different options out there. So you can always reach out to the hospitality services, and they are more than happy to discuss the multiple options and the other dietary needs that might be needed to help with.
Thank you, Amanda. And Amanda, can you also share with the participants about maybe if a student has a medical condition and maybe they need to live alone in a residence hall room or need some additional support, how housing can help support those students?
Yes, we always work with students. We do ask for them to first reach out to the Student Disability Services and work with them. They are the ones that will take in all the information needed. And then that department just provides us with what we need to make sure that we can help students get into the best accommodations for them. We might not always have exactly what they would want, but we will work and do our best to get them into, if it's a needed private room or if it's just a certain type of roommate with them or anything. We always work for all those around with students on those needs.
Thank you, Amanda. I know we've had some additional questions related to the release of information, not only with academic information, but through our Office of Student Conduct. So if your student were involved in a situation where there were allegations, there were violations of our Code of Student Conduct, would you be notified? I will ask in just in a minute for Dr. Duran to answer that related to conduct. But again, in our earlier discussion about the FERPA form, or the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, that also allows us to share information related to conduct information if it's not one of the areas where we would automatically share that information. So again, when you talk with your student about the release of information, you can do that along with that FERPA form. On your site, on your page now is a link to more information about FERPA. Again, you do not need to do that right now, but it's a conversation to have with your student. Dr. Duran, can you talk a little bit about conduct and how they work with families?
Right. Well, so the conduct records are part of the educational record for your student, and so they are still governed by FERPA. So, but there is a clause that if there is, you know, a safety or immediate threat type of situation, that we are always able to notify parents. And so we do that as governed by our Dean of Students offices who make that determination. But in general, we don't automatically, as Dr. Massengill said, we do not automatically inform parents of any of all, you know, student conduct allegations, because that is part of their educational record, and so it's protected as well.
Thank you. And I know that we still have a variety of questions and concerns about moving forward for the fall 2020 semester, delivery of classes, cost, cleanliness, support for students. Dr. Sumner, could you speak to some of those concerns and questions?
Sure. I know that this is such an uncertain time, and so there's so many questions about when will we know, when will we know, when will we know? And I wanted to just kind of say I'm fortunate to be able to be on the President's Executive Council, and so I pretty much meet as a part of this cabinet 3 times a week at minimum during this period. Our president is an extraordinary man and has a great passion for ensuring that what we're doing is in the best interest of the students. And so we are literally building the model as we move along. There is nothing more than we want to be able to get you the information. We want to get you the right information based on what's happening. And so you can actually be rest assured that, like every other university in the country, we are working. The tremendous thing about tech is that there is no question that this institution has an incredible team of people that are working on behalf of every single one of you and your student. I will crack a joke. If you're asking about cleanliness, I just want you to think about your 18-year-old and how they keep their room right now. But that's a whole other thing. We know that there are considerations that we need to make given COVID, but we wanted you to know without any question, President Skuvenik, our provost, Dr. Duran, all of the people at the institution, this is about providing the best experience for you. So we will do our level best to get you information as soon as we are able. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Sumner. Again, we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon for our virtual parent and family session. Family involvement with your students experiencing as a Red Raider is one of the most important pieces to their success. They still need you. They still need you involved. Even if they sometimes tell you they do not want you involved, trust me, they still need you. Classes start on August 24th. Move-in is a week before that. And as we tell parents, do not think that you're going to drop your student off, move them into the halls, and then not do anything else, because you will. You will still be involved. You will still be talking to them and supporting them and guiding them. It's just going to look different. But know that the university is here to help you do that. We want them to be successful just like you do. Do not ever hesitate to call us, ask for help, direction, and clarification. We are here for you and for your student. We appreciate your commitment to Texas Tech University. Excited to continue to engage with you throughout the summer. I know many of you have asked questions on the Q&A. If we have not gotten to those yet, we'll continue to respond. So we'll still be here virtually for a little bit longer after our presentation ends. But again, wanted to welcome you to the Red Raider family. Go Tech, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.